And here we go.
Welcome to the Great Work Insights podcast by the O.C. Tanner Institute, the show that features the people, the professionals, the thought leaders, and the coolest companies. And now your host, the man navigating the discussion about the culture, the organized chaos, and the best practices that compel great work, Todd Nordstrom.
If life is a stage, my guest today is hovering 5 feet above it with a violin in his hand, wowing audiences all over the world. He's a master of performance, which to many of us, the word performance can have numerous definitions, but Roddy Chong has a different approach. He says life and work can be opportunities for your greatest performances. And until you realize that, the audience won't be on their feet. Roddy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, Todd. Thank you for having me.
Before we dive into your definition of performance, I want to give the audience a sense of your resume, if that's what we want to call it. You've toured as a violinist for Shania Twain, Celine Dion, both at the same time, might I add. You've performed for the President of the United States, for the Queen of England, the Pope, and Oprah. You do 70 arena shows in 2 months every winter with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And I'm guessing that a lot of the audience right now is going, oh, that's the violin player that's always jumping around. Including, you've also kicked off the new year in front of 2 million fans at Berlin's Brandenburg Gate. When not on tour, you're wowing audience as a highly sought-after speaker for many corporations, such as NASA, ConAgra, Bayer, Kraft Foods, U.S. bankruptcy courts, and Boeing. Your list of achievements is impressive, and I've always been impressed with you. But what I love most about you is that you've got a whole other side to you. You care just as much about other people's life performance as your own, to the point where you coach people how to perform. Tell me about that.
Well, sure. I coach people individually, but I do a lot of speaking events, so that's coaching to groups. Mm-hmm. And I thankfully moved to LA, and I'm with the wild people out here, and we're all performing and going to places that have never been thought of before and have never been seen before. At least that's the goal. And so basically, like, let's say acting. A lot of people think, oh, acting is like pretending, but really these are not people that are pretending. These are people that are learning how to be fully alive, be even more convincing than people that are actually alive. Because a lot of people that are actually alive, they can be checked out. They can be kind of going through the motions, perhaps doing their same type of work in life month after month, year after year. And people that are in the arts, I was talking about acting in particular, have found ways to actually be more alive. So I have really enjoyed all the ways that this has impacted my life. Thankfully, it is in the realm of the performing arts, because that's a little bit where some of my strengths are. But everything is connected. Everything is connected. I can learn from different people. Like you mentioned, I was at NASA, and so for a while I thought I could never really relate with a rocket engineer or something like that. But actually, we can. They also are trying to go places. They're trying to take an SLS rocket, which is what replaced the space shuttle system, and they're eventually going to bring people to Mars.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, so people everywhere really want to live bigger. They want to have more passion. And I've learned a lot of the techniques on how to make this happen. You and I spoke in the past about different examples, and one example is a friend of mine. He's the manager of investment in the Treasury Department of a large hospital system in Indianapolis. And he was presenting to the investments committee, a subcommittee of their board. And he had talked with me and presented the first time, and then we were talking about how that went. And he was going to do it again, and he just thought that he would like it to be more connecting, that it just wasn't, it was a little bit kind of, I don't want to say the word boring, but just he thought it could be a little bit more give and take interacting between the people. So I just told him two things. One of the things I said from the very beginning is instead of I'm just going to do my best, that word just is really not putting us on the right track.
No.
I told him, I said, let's say this instead. This is exactly what I signed up for. So that kind of makes you a little bit more of a hero almost, more of the authority. I'm walking in there on this new track. This is exactly what I signed up for. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I was saying to him, since I know his personality, is to go bigger, to express more, to smile a little bit more, have that twinkle in your eye a little bit more, just even pick up the pace a little bit more and express more. And I know that he's not the kind of person that is already doing that. Uh-huh. So to him, it would feel like he's almost being clownish, like it's too much. But I was like, you are nowhere close to expressing in an effective way. And what happens is this happens in an audition situation for me, but for him, he's walking in front of high net worth people, and he has to make a presentation and explain some of the details of these investments. Mm-hmm. And all your preparation was there before you got there, but now that you're in this new room and perhaps there's actual physical barriers like tables in between you and the people, and these people, they could possibly be judging you. Not that they would be, but that's just kind of how our brain perceives other people. That knocks us down 30% of the energy and the expressiveness that we thought we were going to have. So he did those things in the beginning. This is exactly what I signed up for. Uh-huh. Expressed himself more, and the result was a more engaging. It went way better. And there's a lot of other techniques, but that's just an example of someone that I coached.
That it brings up because in the corporate world, because what you're talking about here is in the corporate world, performance is talked about a lot of the time, but your definition of performance is the same, but different in a way, where your friend was feeling clownish. But I mean, you have to give that performance of your lifetime. Talk about or compare and contrast the definitions of performance that we're talking about here.
Well, what I would say to that is whenever you walk into a room, whenever you're interacting with a person, that person's your one-person audience, you essentially are on a stage. So there are a lot of things that can be helpful for someone to perform well, more effectively, better than what they had done last month, let alone last year, by using new techniques, trying them out, and then mixing them in with your strength, mixing them in with their strength, and seeing